Indiana Newsdesk is made possible in part by Smithville, fiber internet, streaming TV, home security, and automation in southern Indiana. More information at smithville.com. MALLOR GRODNER attorneys providing legal services to clients and the community. Understanding, expertise, results. Bloomington and Indianapolis, lawmg.com. The IU School of Education preparing teachers, scholars, and administrators to improve teaching in Indiana and around the world. education.indiana.edu. IU Alumni Association connecting IU's network of alumni and sharing the Indiana spirit through scholarships, advocacy, and volunteerism. alumni.iu.edu. IU Center for Rural Engagement extending IU Bloomington resources to improve Hoosier lives in partnership with communities and organizations. rural.indiana.edu. And by WTIU members. Thank you.
Coming up on Indiana Newsdesk, he's being remembered as an Indiana icon.
He connected with people. You know what he conveyed to them? I'm on your side. I am on your side. I'm going to try to help you.
A look back at the life and legacy of former U.S. Senator Birch Bayh. Payday loans. Some call them necessary, others predatory.
If I took it out, $1,000, if I paid it off in a year, I'd be paying back like $3,600.
Ahead, how a proposal at the statehouse could drastically change the lending landscape. And teachers are trading the halls of their schools for the steps of the statehouse. The latest on the battle over school funding. Those stories, plus the latest news headlines from across the state, right now on Indiana Newsdesk. Welcome to Indiana Newsdesk. I'm Joe Wren. Well, nothing says more about a politician than what his colleagues across the aisle think of him. And for former U.S. Senator Birch Bayh, the praise continues to pour in. Bayh died earlier this week at his home in Maryland. He was 91 years old. While he was known as a liberal Democrat, he gained the respect of many across the state and the nation.
Former Congressman Lee Hamilton and U.S. Senator Birch Bayh's friendship spans nearly 7 decades. They represented Hoosiers in Washington, D.C. at the same time and remained close confidants decades later. Hamilton says Bayh helped fundamentally change Indiana politics with his unique campaigning style.
He would stand, for example, at the corner of the stoplight in Nashville, Indiana, when the trees were turning color, and the cars would be backed up for miles. And he'd go down the line and shake hands with the people in every car. He just never stopped campaigning.
And many people got the hang of his unusual name with the help of a clever campaign song.
Hey, look him over, he's my kind of guy. His first name is Birch, his last name is Bayh.
When you win it by 2 votes precinct, a lot of things went, but I don't know how anything had a bigger impact than that did. Because whether you like it or not, the name Birch Bayh, and it was a positive thing. You couldn't be angry. I wasn't saying bad things about anybody. And most importantly, the name got out there. It's Birch Bayh, Birch Bayh.
And now that name carries quite the legacy. During his 3 terms in the U.S. Senate, Bayh accomplished more than some politicians do in their entire careers. He sponsored legislation creating Title IX, a law that prohibits gender discrimination.
Every woman in the country owes him a debt of gratitude, because by Title IX, he really did open up opportunities, especially for women, profoundly impacting their lives.
Bayh also wrote the 25th and 26th Amendments, which created policy for presidential succession and lowered the voting age to 18.
I think he wrote more of the Constitution than any senator since James Madison.
But above all, Hamilton says he'll remember Bayh as a steadfast friend who had an unmatched ability to connect with people from all walks of life. Someone who never stopped campaigning, unless it was for ice cream.
He loved Dairy Queens. He knew every Dairy Queen in the state of Indiana. We would drive through Osgood, Indiana at 10 o'clock at night, and he'd say, "Lee, that place doesn't close till 10:30. Let's stop for a Dairy Queen."
For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Barbara Brosier.
And we spoke with Shonda Staton, coach of the IU women's softball team. She said she's where she is in part because of Bayh's work on Title IX, and that America needs more people like Birch Bayh.
Now, do I believe we have a long way to go and we need another Senator Bayh to continue the advancement and progress of equal pay and more opportunities of women coaching women? Absolutely. We still have a long way to go. But I can be a Division I softball coach and mentor and mold young women because of Senator Bayh and his legacy.
Indiana teachers say the state is failing when it comes to providing competitive pay. The issue is leading teachers to travel from the halls of their schools to the halls of the State House. As Jeannie Lindsay reports, they say Indiana needs to offer more support to schools before districts can increase salaries.
Lawmakers have been seeing red at the State House, literally. Crowds of teachers involved in the Red for Ed movement are increasing their presence as debates focused on the state budget heat up. At a weekend rally, a sea of educators had a clear message.
And so we need to invest in teachers so we can invest in our future. And if our government takes that to heart, then they will fully fund education and fund our needs and our students' needs.
Not everyone here works in a classroom. School administrators, parents, and children from communities across the state joined in to the high-energy chants. The Indiana State Teachers Association urged the crowd to keep up the intensity at a school funding hearing this week. And as Senate lawmakers heard hours of testimony Thursday, dozens of teachers urged them to provide more money to schools. Many say current plans don't provide schools with the funding they need to boost teacher pay and address basic needs.
When local control is touted as a solution to the teacher pay crisis instead of additional state funding, teachers may gain a pay increase but will undoubtedly lose support staff, administrative help, smaller class sizes, professional development, and more.
A crowd gathered outside of the packed hearing room. Teachers and superintendents at the meeting also raised concerns about a recent proposal from lawmakers to cut more than $105 million in what's called complexity funding, dollars that go to low-income students. Anderson Community Schools Superintendent Tim Smith says more money in the overall school funding formula is good, but he says taking it from complexity funding will mean less support for schools that need it the most.
Our schools today deal with so much more than they had to do years ago. Complexity is what schools are made of.
Lawmakers have until the end of April to finalize a budget. For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Jeannie Lindsay.
Now for headlines, we go over to Barbara Brosier, who has the latest on this week's top stories.
Thanks, Joe. A federal appeals court has ruled portions of a 2016 Indiana abortion law are not unconstitutionally vague and has reversed an injunction blocking them. The Seventh Circuit U.S. Court of Appeals decided this week that U.S. District Judge Jane Magnus Stinson should have ruled against plaintiffs, Indiana University, and 3 of its researchers who challenged the law, which requires aborted fetuses to be buried or cremated. The Vigo County Commissioners are now considering 4 potential sites for a new county jail. The County Council voted to approve a resolution this week that puts multiple site options on the table. County officials say by engaging the public, the council will continue to seek the best site and cost options to benefit the community.
We've heard the public now for the 2 years and 3 months that I've been on the council, and it seems like that we are representing the interest of the taxpayer of Vigo County, and I think you saw that in action this evening.
A federal court order mandates the county give regular updates on the progress of the new county jail, including the site selection. County commissioners will decide on a final site after all land appraisals are submitted. Indiana transportation officials say the next phase of I-69 construction is underway. Workers are clearing trees and placing erosion control to build a new bridge and roadway in Martinsville. Construction is part of I-69 Section 6, which links Martinsville to Indianapolis. The route will run along existing State Road 37. Crews started working this week and should be done with this phase of construction by November. Well, right now, if Hoosiers post online that they're interested in adopting a child, they're technically committing a crime. A 2007 Indiana law makes it illegal for anyone other than licensed adoption agencies and attorneys to advertise adoption services in the phone book. Now, a 2017 update expanded that to any advertisements, including online. Proposed legislation loosens that restriction. It would allow people to advertise that they're trying to adopt a child on their own behalf. The bill cleared the House unanimously, and a Senate committee sent it to the floor. The Indiana Bureau of Motor Vehicles is now offering driver's licenses and state identification cards with a non-binary gender option for residents who don't identify as male or female. Indiana is the 6th state to offer a third choice on state IDs. Residents can now choose the third option, X, instead of the traditional male or female. Proof of a permanent gender change, such as an amended birth certificate or doctor's statement, must be provided. Bloomington's 4th Street garage may be demolished and replaced with a new facility after all. The latest change comes after engineers estimated repairing the garage would cost $300,000 more than originally thought. City Council President Dave Rollo says he's gauging the support of other council members before bringing a measure to a vote.
The rebuild of the garage also includes more capacity, and we have established a height limit, which is something we didn't have before.
If the measure passes the council, the garage will be paid for with bonds. The garage has been closed since January. City officials said previously the repaired facility would be back open in early August before IU students return for classes. The city is also moving forward with plans to build a new parking garage in the Trades District. The United States Department of Agriculture's latest report predicts farm incomes will increase this year, but not enough to offset the debt many farmers have. The report projects corn prices will increase. Experts say many farmers are relying on loans to make ends meet while they hope for better margins. They say lenders continue to offer farmers loans because land values are increasing. But that could change if farmers continue to carry so much debt. Midwest environmental groups are threatening to sue the Environmental Protection Agency for delaying action on polluted rivers and streams in Indiana. The Environmental Law Policy Center, the Alliance for the Great Lakes, and the Hoosier Environmental Council sent a letter this week giving the EPA 60 days notice of their lawsuit. They say the agency was supposed to approve or deny the Indiana Department of Environmental Management's impaired waters list within 30 days of submission. Activists say it's been about 6 months. Greene County residents are collaborating to form a new cooperative to help mitigate the county's issues with invasive plants. Residents at a public meeting this week said they want to better identify and control the invasive species they've spotted on their properties. Experts at the meeting say the volunteer task force can raise awareness about the dangers of invasives.
One of the things that we really want folks to do is to educate yourself before you purchase plants, before you put your shovel in the ground. Make sure that you know what you're planting.
More than 120 plant species are categorized as invasive in the state of Indiana, including burning bush and tree of heaven, which are common in Greene County. In January, the Natural Resources Commission passed a rule banning 44 invasive plants in the state. The future Maple Leaf Performing Arts Center will now be called the Brown County Music Center. Officials say they wanted to take advantage of Brown County's reputation as an artistic hotspot in the state.
We're taking the name from Brown County, which is our huge market, and we're already branded as Brown County. So why not just take that brand and keep going forward with it?
The board voted in favor of the name Sundown at Salt Creek in mid-February, but decided to change it after it created public outcry due to its negative connotations. Historically, Sundown towns were towns that banished non-white individuals after sunset. The venue is scheduled for a grand opening on August 24th. The opening act has yet to be announced, and that's a long-awaited project, Joe, that we've been covering for a while here. It'll be interesting to see it open.
A brand new venue in all South Central Indiana. It'll be interesting to see, too, what type of acts that they get to perform there.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Barbara. Coming up next on Indiana Newsdesk. With enrollment in rural areas declining, we look at the changing face of the future farmers of America in the Hoosier State. And some call it legal loan sharking, but payday lenders could see a boost to their bottom line if a bill to loosen rules makes it through the State House. These stories and more right here on Indiana Newsdesk.
The WTIU WFIU news team connects Indiana to the world. We bring you the top news of the day on radio, TV, and online. We round up the stories that have people talking each week and dig deep into the issues that affect your community the most. The WTIU WFIU news team is where you are and telling your story.
In a time of change, where can you find in-depth reporting and thoughtful analysis? Washington Week on PBS. Join moderator Robert Costa.
When I was at the Capitol this week, I encountered the same.
And a panel of award-winning journalists.
You're seeing a divided nation, and you're seeing
for insights and perspective.
Tonight there was a key development in the
Senate. You won't find anywhere else.
What a week.
Washington Week.
Welcome back to Indiana Newsdesk. A large coalition of consumer advocacy, nonprofit, and religious groups is calling on state legislators to scrap a controversial short-term lending bill. The legislation passed through the state Senate and now awaits a hearing in a House committee. While some lawmakers say the proposal gives more options to Hoosiers with bad credit, opponents say it will only worsen their financial situations. Barbara Brozier reports.
When Stephen Bramer returned to Indiana after serving during the war in Iraq, the transition to civilian life was rocky.
I was in construction my whole life, and when I came back, I was working for an engineering company. And I was doing good at first, but I was drinking a lot also.
He came to this VFW in Hammond for help and eventually found a new purpose, helping other veterans navigate through the changes that come with civilian life.
We help them with their claim, and I kind of help guide them through the process.
That sense of direction allowed him to focus on being a good husband and father. But he soon hit another roadblock, a lengthy custody battle that he struggled to afford.
My lawyer was ready to drop us right before the trial.
So Bramer did what he thought was best. He took out a payday loan to cover the legal fees, and that started a vicious cycle.
I tried paying it off all at once. So if I took out like a $1,300 loan, I'd pay back like $1,800 on them first. Well, even that's unsustainable because then that's $1,800 less for the next month. So it's nobody really explains that part to you.
A Republican state senator says he wants to provide more options for people like Bramer who have bad credit but need loans. Senate Bill 613 would expand existing payday loans and offer new borrowing options.
So what we tried to do was create some options in that arena at rates that are 40 to 70% less than are currently available in payday lending.
Under the proposal, the new 6 to 12-month loans would have a lower annual percentage rate than existing payday lending options, but it's still 192%. And the small dollar loans would allow people to borrow up to $4,000 with an interest rate as high as 99%. That's against current felony loan sharking laws in the state, which the bill would also change. On top of that, the legislation increases fees, but Zay says it's necessary.
It is giving them access to something, and honestly, at a much better rate than is available in the current mode with payday lending.
But a long list of groups opposes the bill and rallied at the State House earlier this week.
This is the fourth year in a row that a coalition has been assembled to fight against the continuous attempts by out-of-state payday lenders and others to expand the harmful loaning products here in Indiana.
The coalition calls the proposal predatory and harmful to Hoosiers.
We're adding new products that are much larger, much longer. And so yes, while the APR is only 192%, this is still an unaffordable loan that's conditioned on either access to your bank account or access to, say, your car title.
Macy says she wants to see Indiana legislators study payday lending before passing any bills expanding the industry. The national nonprofit policy group Center for Responsible Lending is also against the legislation. Its analysis of the bill says it creates an inescapable cycle of debt for borrowers.
If SB 613 passes, this will make Indiana among the top 10 worst states in the country for predatory lending.
That worries Bramer, who says the state's current payday lending industry does enough harm. He's still trying to pay off the loan he took out about a year ago.
You think that you could pay back something, but then you don't realize it's like a cycle, and that cycle is so hard to get out of.
He hopes his story serves as a warning to legislators.
As a whole, this is not a good option, and I hope that they do vote this down.
For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Barbara Brozier.
The bill has yet to have a hearing in the House's Financial Institutions Committee. The National FFA organization welcomes more than 60,000 students every year to its annual convention in Indianapolis, but programs take place in schools across the nation throughout the year. With enrollment declining in rural Indiana schools, FFA membership is beginning to change. My colleague Brock Turner is here with more. Brock.
That's right, Joe. As more people move to develop suburbs and urban areas, the traditional focus of FFA programs are beginning to shift. When Tom Younts first came to Hamilton Southeastern High School, it was a very different place.
The superintendent's office was in a trailer, like a little modular trailer. It was the superintendent and two ladies that helped him, and that was all. That was the central office.
Fast forward 40 years, and the district, which sits just 30 minutes northeast of Indianapolis, is one of the fastest growing in the state. Younts teaches agriculture here, and as housing developments and shopping malls have replaced family farms, you might think he'd have trouble filling his classes.
Agriculture has changed tremendously from production ag class that I had when I first started, and a lot of farmers here, to being no farmers. The last students I had that their parents made their living in farming was 2006.
Despite having fewer students with direct ties to the farm, Younts says his membership is still strong. He and his co-teacher see about 200 students a day.
I mean, even if you're not a farm kid, you can still learn a lot from FFA, like where your food comes from, and just get a new understanding and understand how important it is.
FFA membership in urban and suburban schools has grown 127% in Indiana over the past 3 years. Their peers in rural areas have grown too, but at a much tamer rate of 21%. The organization isn't entirely sure why so much growth is happening in its urban districts, but they believe jobs play a big role. Large agricultural companies need workers who understand the connection between technology and agriculture. Programs continue to update their curriculum to reflect the changes in agriculture, and the FFA has recently partnered with Microsoft to train students in ag tech. But another piece of it is money. That can help explain the growth disparity between rural and urban schools. The state's funding formula assigns a dollar amount to each student. It creates problems in a lot of rural districts struggling with declining enrollments.
So being able to financially support what they're trying to do or the endeavors that they're looking at, that they may have to look outside of their community to find that support to help them continue to grow their chapter and the opportunities they provide for students.
Not far from where Younts grew up and about 30 minutes south of HSE, Josh Schoenfeld is working at the greenhouse in Triton Central High School. He's trying to get it up and running again so his students can sell hanging baskets to make money for their chapter. Schoenfeld graduated from Triton Central in 2014 and is pretty representative of his students.
I grew up on a small hobby farm. We did 4-H and all that kind of stuff. We raised goats, both meat and dairy goats, poultry, chickens, ducks, turkeys, geese, pigeon, all that.
Schoenfeld returned here after graduating from college. With just 5 students, he's been able to start growing the program again.
So now we're sitting at 35 paid with 5 more that we're working on. Getting in the door.
Schoenfeld says those are the highest numbers his program has seen in the last 5 years.
I've lived here all my life. This is my home. This is the place I grew up that I want to raise a family in the future. And so I'm willing to put the effort forward in order to ensure that the program stays alive.
The National FFA organization told me they're going to continue to reinvent themselves for the 21st century. Nearly all farmers now rely on technology in their fields, and there's a growing need amongst employers to have students who understand the connection between agriculture and technology.
All right, Brock, thank you very much for that report.
Absolutely, Joe.
The Indiana Historical Society is offering visitors a chance to travel back to an archaeological excavation in 1939. The Angel Mounds exhibit showcases artifacts collected from the State Historic Site in Evansville, which is one of the most well-preserved prehistoric Native American sites in the country.
The Native Americans who lived on this land hundreds, thousands of years ago, they're not here, but their ancestors, their descendants still are. There are Native Americans in Indiana now. This isn't just a story of the past, it's a story of the present too.
The items are on loan from Indiana University's Glenn Black Laboratory of Archaeology. The exhibit includes actors recreating the work on the site excavation. It will be on display through August 9th. And that's the end of this program, but our work continues online as we cover the news throughout the week at WTIUnews.org. Have a great weekend.
Indiana Newsdesk is made possible in part by Smithville, fiber internet, streaming TV, home security, and automation in southern Indiana. More information at smithville.com. MALLOR GRODNER attorneys providing legal services to clients and the community. Understanding, expertise, results. Bloomington and Indianapolis, lawmg.com. The IU School of Education preparing teachers, scholars, and administrators to improve teaching in Indiana and around the world. education.indiana.edu. IU Alumni Association connecting IU's network of alumni and sharing the Indiana spirit through scholarships, advocacy, and volunteerism. alumni.iu.edu. IU Center for Rural Engagement extending IU Bloomington resources to improve Hoosier lives in partnership with communities and organizations. rural.indiana.edu. And by WTIU members, thank you.